everybody feels when they talk to me about it, they're like, man, you're so passionate about all of this. You should be sharing it with people. Share the passion levels that you have on what you're doing. They're like, that alone will bring people into wanting to even just be a part of your universe. So I thought I would just talk about a piece of my universe today.
The Epic Universe.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Epic Universe Inc. Studios. My name is Gabriel. I am your host. I am the creator of some of your most favorite characters that you just haven't met yet, and I'm going to be your guide as we go through this adventure together. Now, we've been breaking into the comic book industry recently. We've been very well received so far. Our comic book is really, really good. It's really nice. Interior art, the cover is great, but the interior art is just bar none, way above average, going to be much better than any average comic book you pick up from anybody. I don't care who it is. And that's not putting anyone else down or hyping ourselves up. It is just the truth. So we've been going to cons and stuff like that and meeting a lot of different people for a while now, but it's a lot different when you can finally hand them your product and be, some content and be like, well, this is us. And so we've been getting very well received by the people in the industry and by people that have been supporting us and the people that have purchased the book so far. And thank you for everybody that supported us up to this point, and that's going to support us in the future. So it's funny because, we've been getting to know everybody, but they're taking this more serious now that we have something to offer for them to be able to look at and then ask questions about. And obviously the artists that have already been working with this have some knowledge, but now that we're like really starting to push our way into the industry, everybody, they all say the same thing. Oh yeah, I'll take a look at your property. Yeah, I'll take a look at your property. And they say property by intellectual property. And so they're like, so I give everybody a card so they can look it up online. And you're welcome to do the same. You can go to our website, you can go to the Epic Universe Inc., that's inc.com, or you can go to Style Assassins with an S, it's plural, styleassassins.com, and you can look it up. Look around, if you have any questions, hit me up, I'll answer whatever questions you have. If you have any criticism, please, by all means, hit me with what you got. I can't get better without somebody critiquing me, so any criticism you have, give me what you got, I don't care. Anyway, so everybody says they're going to look at it, but I always know when they actually do because they always hit me up. Sometimes people will hit me up while they're still looking at it, or they'll hit me up shortly after they stop looking at it and they thought about it a little bit. And for a lot of them, their thing is so most of the time as a creator of your own IP, you have to build in public basically. So you're putting out content, you're basically building your world as you're putting out that content for everybody to come to understand and love. Now for us, we're doing it the other way. We have the entire universe. And so they're always the main questions, two big questions that I get asked a lot. One of them is, bro, how in the hell do you guys already have such a huge, complex, and intricate and cohesive universe already put together? And so the cheesy answers to that question, the cheesy ones first, is obviously time. I've been working on it for 20 years. That's a long time to put into creating something. And for the last 15 years, probably maybe a little more, maybe 16, I've been working on it pretty much daily for the last 16 years. So 20 years is a long time to put into building something. And then obviously you got to learn to just enjoy the process. And I've been creating it for so long that I love it so much that it's just, for me, I get a sense of enjoyment and fulfillment just from working on it alone. And that means all the way back to like when I was just grabbing any spare piece of paper and writing down any thought I could. And, everything was so disjointed. And this was all just a dream that was so far in the distance. Even just getting this comic book, even just a few years ago, guys, this comic book right here was just a dream that was so far distant that I couldn't even see it yet. So time and, enjoying the process are definitely the parts that, definitely the cheesy answer, but something that goes along with this that'll answer the more personal aspect of it is, I'm showing it to writers, I'm showing it to artists, and I'm showing it to people that have created their own IP. So these people all think differently. And so they are asking basically the same question, but from different perspectives. And so basically everybody wants to know, like, which one did I enjoy more? Did I enjoy creating the stories? Did I enjoy creating the characters? Or did I enjoy creating the world itself? And for me, you can't be separated. They can't be separated. So the stories are like the universe itself, the world itself, the sphere that everything lives in. And the characters and the world, the universe, are like two sides to the same coin. The characters exist to be in this universe, and this universe exists the way it does because the characters exist the way that they do. So it goes hand in hand. You can't really separate them. But I wanted to talk about when people ask me that, I take it as a huge compliment, especially by those people that have their own IP. I really take it as a compliment from those people because I'm like, man, you're doing your thing and been doing your thing for so long that I'm just in awe of everything that you're doing and you've been doing. And so for them to turn around and feel like something that I have done already at the beginning of us just putting out the beginning of our content, or that already they feel like it's something it's worth mentioning. I take that as a massive compliment. Humbling for sure, but also just like, wow, it just makes you feel good that something that I've been working on and a huge dream of mine for so long is just something that other people can see value in. Like it really, I don't know, it just really makes you feel good. So I wanted to give you guys, everybody feels when they talk to me about it, they're like, man, you're so passionate about all of this. You should be sharing it with people. Share the passion levels that you have on what you're doing. They're like, that alone will bring people into wanting to even just be a part of your universe. So I thought I would just talk about a piece of my universe today. And so the first 5 characters that I created 20 years ago were the Style Assassins. And I'm going to cover something now. The leader of the Style Assassins is a character by the name of Ronin. If you're online and you're looking him up right now, you're going to see that Ronin and myself actually look pretty similar to one another. The funny part about this is I created Ronin 20 years ago. When I created him, I looked nothing like I do right now. I actually had extremely long hair and I was not a muscle-bound guy at that time. So instead of me using art to imitate life, I actually went the other way around and I used my life to imitate some of my art. I did not look the same as that character as I do now. I recognize that we look very similar now. That's just the way my life turned out. Obviously, I must have a very close affinity to my characters. I ended up mimicking one of them with my lifestyle choices. But when I created those characters, one of the things I realized real fast is that I didn't want them to be mutants. I didn't want them to be aliens. I didn't want them to be born special. I didn't want any of those things. I wanted them to be human beings, just regular old human beings. So them and their acolytes, the nameless warriors, are what I call natural human variants. Us as human beings have evolved over the centuries, over the millennia rather, through pain and suffering. That is how we are adaptation machines, and we have adapted and evolved through pain and suffering. That's how we've adapted and evolved as a species, and even singularly, individually in our lives today. We all are adapting and evolving as a personal human being through pain and suffering. Pleasure does play a part of it. I'm not saying there's not other elements, but that's the basics. So I wanted my characters to be humans. So I recognized that pretty quickly on. I wanted them to just be humans. I wanted them to be something that any human being could be if they chose to go the route to open themselves up to adaptation and evolving to a higher degree. So it all started with Ronin. I had to figure out his story first. And basically, he found himself in a foreign land at a certain point when he was very young, around 15 years old. The foreign land is Japan. And a lot goes on, and he was basically kidnapped by a daimyo or taken hostage or whatever, however you want to put it. And the daimyo just recognizes there seems to be something special about this guy. So he gives him to one of his old teachers, which is just this sage, this old great sage. And the powers that the Style Assassins and the Nameless, because we've got multiple factions. If you go online and see, we got multiple factions. I'm only talking about them, Style Assassins. And so their powers, the Style Assassins and the Nameless, their powers come from what I call the current. And I'm going to explain to you why it's called the current. So there's this thing, you can look it up online. I'm sure it's online. I've never looked it up myself, but I'm sure it's there. I was taught this many, many, many decades ago. I wasn't taught the same way, but other people have said that you take your hands and rub them together. So rub them together for like 30 seconds to a minute, whatever it takes for you. And then you can put your hands like this and you can feel like a current between your hands. Now you can make it feel like repulsive, you can contract it, you can move it around. If you do this enough, you can feel that there's something going on. You can feel an energy between your two hands. If you think it's BS, that's perfectly fine. If you've done it before and you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. If you try to figure this out and you end up figuring it out, congratulations for doing it the first time. My assumption is that you're actually able to feel the electromagnetic field of the world itself. I don't know what it is, but you can feel an energy, plain, period, and simple. Now, it also feels like a current to me. It feels like an electric current. So I started their powers off this concept that I had, and I named it the current because that's what it feels like to me. So together, basically, they end up creating what is called in my universe as the meditative state or the infinite veil. And from there, Ronin's life just gets worse. He's tortured and tormented and all kinds of other stuff because they figure out he can heal himself and a lot of other stuff. Even though they're natural human variants, I'm not saying that my stories don't venture off into fantasy, sci-fantasy, and sci-fi because they do. And his life just gets worse. But eventually he works his way up through the ranks and stuff like that. And he ends up he's given a wife, and he's like finally experiencing some peace in his life. And then his wife is killed, and like he continues to learn more powers because of how tragic his life ends up. Now, I just want to talk about the Style Assassins and the Nameless for today. There's a lot of factions. You can look them up online, but we're just talking about these two today. What I loved about creating the universe itself was like figuring out how all these factions, how they operate, how they think, their traditions, their lore, their history. I know all of that stuff for every one of the characters, for every one of the character sets, even all the characters too. But if the Style Assassins are the elite group of the community. The community is where the Style Assassins have trained, the Nameless train, all of that stuff. So usually from a very, very, very young age, people are brought into the community itself. And when you're brought into the community, you're stripped of all identity. So your name is taken from you. You're given a code name. This character, for instance, his name is Suez. He's a nameless warrior. His name when he was a kid was Red Nine. So you're just given a code name until you come of a time that you can choose a name that you feel it's a chosen name that you feel represents you in some way. Another character that's in the same comic book, she's a nameless, her name is Sparrow. So, but those are chosen names. Now, those are chosen names. You do not have an actual name inside the community until you earn it. So you have a difference between an earned name and a chosen name. That's why they're called the Nameless Warriors. Until you earn a name, you are considered nameless. But people do have to have a name. You can't just be like AU to everybody that's going on. That would be stupid. So they're the Nameless Warriors, but they do have chosen names. From very young an age, they're taught how to fight, to survive, recon, espionage, assassination. They're taught all of these things. And you're not even allowed to go out on your own until you have accomplished enough missions for them to know for sure that you're able to perform any jobs that are put before you, including assassination. Once you complete those prerequisites, you're able to take your initial trials to be able to go out on what's called your Shugyosha. Shugyosha is a terminology that I believe I borrowed from the Japanese people. If I got this word wrong or whatever, this is how I use this word now. And it's basically what I was led to understand is like back in the old feudal Japan days when samurai were just wandering around and Ronin were just wandering around and challenging each other to duels. That was called being on a Shugyosha. So that's what these characters have to do. They have to go out into the world and they're on their Shugyosha. While they're on their Shugyosha, their life is basically they determine their life like almost completely. If the community requires something to be done and they send them a message, of course that warrior, that nameless warrior, is required to go ahead and fulfill whatever that duty is. Now, while they're out in the world, their job is to learn, just learn everything that they can to fight and to survive. That is their job, to fight and to survive, basically, and learn everything that they can. Now, they're also allowed to make allies and enemies as they see fit. The only people that are their enemies for the Style Assassins and the Nameless is the children. And no, none of them are children. They're all grown. All of them are at least hundreds, if not thousands of years old. There's a reason their name is the children. We're not going to get into it. But they are very predatory, and they are what I call psychic vampires. They have other powers too, but that just means they don't have to bite and feed on blood to survive. They can literally steal your life energy, your life force, and survive off of that. So those are mortal enemies. And if possible, this is a shadow world, and it exists in our world today. My world exists inside our world. But underneath the surface, there's a shadow world, and that's where most of this is happening. So they'll do their best to make sure that this isn't done in the public eye. But if they have the opportunity, if they see each other, it's usually on site. They're gonna figure out a way to be able to get at each other. And they're both gonna be about it. So fighting like, oh no, let's just go over here. That's not even gonna be difficult. So that while they're out on their Shugyosha, though, all the other factions, because we have Magi, we have the Uruk, which I did take that name from the story of Gilgamesh. I don't mind giving it a little bit of this away. The story of Gilgamesh does play a part in the spine of our story, of all these stories. It does play a part in the spine of it. I don't mind giving it away because the twist on it is something you're not going to be able to see coming. But I did take the name Uruk from the story of Gilgamesh and named my werewolves the Uruk, who are they share a emotional. They're emotosynct is what I call it. It's not a word, but I made it a word. They're emotosynct werewolves. So they're emotionally bonded to one another, basically like wolves, but to a higher degree. So they can make or break treaties and become allies, become enemies with the entire faction, with members of the faction, doesn't matter. The Darks, which are versions of Werecats, the Magi, as I already stated, the Collective, the Bloods, which involves all vampires, the two main factions being the Bloodlords and the Bloodborne. They can make or break, they can make people enemies or allies as they see fit, as they run through this world. So they have their choices are largely open to them. That's not really the same for anybody in any of the other casts, in any of the other factions. You can do it, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be okay with their society as a whole. So, because they all have rules that they need to live by. But the nameless are pretty much left to, to manifest their own destiny once they're out into the universe, or out into the world. Now, like I said, their job is to learn, to fight, and to survive, and to perform whatever duties. They take a lot of different jobs. They're highly skilled, like I said, espionage, kidnapping, search and rescue, assassinations. So they take a lot of jobs while they're out, and they funnel most of that money right back to the community. They don't really need it. They're very aesthetic. They live very aesthetic lives. They have very strict, rigid, and regimented lives. Now, another aspect that I really love about the Nameless is you can see it right here. His are showing right here. Usually they're not showing, but Nameless have to have their bracers. So they have bracers on their forearms. They have bracers on their shins. For a Nameless to be found without his bracers is like to be dishonored. It's like to lose face. They are trained to be weapons, so when you are the weapon, everything else is a tool, but those are two tools that are basically for defense that they must always have. So they learn to forge them at a very young age. It's a lot of times, many of them will learn to forge masks at the same time, but they learn to forge their bracers at a very young age. And if one becomes broken or damaged in any shape or form or fashion to where it's non-functional, or if they lose them somehow, anything happens to their bracers, they must immediately, as a rule, it's on their own volition, but they will, as a rule, stop whatever they're doing unless it's immediately important to continue taking care of it. They will get the necessary utensils and items to make their bracers again. So whether they got to reforge them, whatever it is, they will stop and get the stuff that's necessary to recreate their bracers before they move on in life, because they have to have their bracers at all points in time. It is a matter of honor to have your bracers as a Nameless. So as you can see, just the Nameless alone, and then moving into the Style Assassins. Oh, I guess I could finish. Once every 3 years, there's a huge tournament held within the community. Where they live is called the Stronghold. Very simple names. And inside the Stronghold, held by the community every 3 years, is a massive tournament. And you can bring new people. Lots of people have been brought so that they can fight in the tournament as well. And in order to earn your name as a Nameless, in order to earn your name, you have to be out on your Shugyosha for enough time to become a more dominant force on your own. Take everything that you were taught, take everything that you learned, and become a more dominant force. You can then return. Almost everybody generally returns every 3 years. Most Nameless will return. We'll say at least 60 to 70% will return for the tournaments. And even most of them, though, just go right back out on their Shugyosha. But those that distinguish themselves within the tournament, like truly distinguish themselves, will then be given the opportunity to take the final trials, and then based on their performance in their final trials, they'll earn a name. Once they earn a name, then they have the possibility, not the guarantee, by far not the guarantee, but they have the possibility of maybe becoming a Style Assassin. So there's lots that goes on to it. That they can also become an elder within the community. There's they have a lot of avenues that are available to them, but you have to do all of that just to become a style assassin. And even then, it is not guaranteed. And for many of them, just earning a name is a big enough dream. It's unfathomable for most of them because the style assassins are just so elite, just so on another level that most of them cannot see themselves actually becoming one. They're hoping to gain a name and they would be ecstatic with that alone. That alone is difficult in and of itself. So as you can see, I put a lot of time and energy just figuring out the style assassins and the nameless, not including their mortal enemies, which are the children. We also have all the other factions that I mentioned, plus many more factions that I didn't. So I'm told that I should start trying to share this stuff with you guys so you guys can see my passion in it, how much I love it, and how much is actually involved. Most people are not going to go, just because I tell you to go to the website doesn't mean that you're going to. So most people, I guess, are pretty passive. I don't know very much about social media. As you can see, I suck at it. That's obviously not, I don't think I'm hiding that at all. But most people are pretty passive. So I guess, I have to give you guys a reason why you might even want to go to the website to check everything out. If you guys decide to go check anything out, man, we have free content that you could get as well. No pressure to buy anything. We're doing fine, but no pressure to buy anything. But if you want some free content, you can go into the shop area, just put in your email and you can get a free ebook. It's a novella. It's a direct prequel to this comic book. This comic book picks up where that novella ends off, that ebook ends off. It's an early draft that still needs to be edited a few times. So don't stress, there's gonna be mistakes, there's gonna be problems with it. But I wanna make it to where getting my universe out is way more important to me than making money. I love money, I want money just like everybody else. But pushing this stuff out to the universe is way more important to me. So I wanna make it to where there's always some content that you can get free from our website. Hopefully, as we get the ball rolling, it'll be like maybe something once a month. Right now, it's whenever the hell we can get something new up. But I just wanted to share some of that with you guys, just so you guys can see like how much I put into this universe, how passionate I am about it, how much I love it, how much it means to me. I honestly, truly feel, man, that these characters and this world, they already existed without me. And I just happened to be the one listening when they were speaking about their existence. And so I was the one that was able to write it down. I've known some of these characters for 20 years. I've known almost all of them for over a decade. So they're that real to me. Finally being able to see them, in whether we use AI generations here at the Epic Universe Inc. I do not hide that. You're going to find that on the website. I don't hide it. Every artist that we've worked with, we're upfront about it right off the bat so that there's no surprises later. But we also employ artists. So anybody that's going to cry and complain, I am employing artists and paying artists to do our comic books and stuff like that. So I'm most likely supporting more artists than anybody that's going to cry and complain about it because they're not pulling out their wallet to support those individuals. We are. So our money is where our mouth is, but other people just want to talk and type, but they don't. Show me some purchases that you have, and then I'll listen to you a little bit. But I just want to get this stuff out. Man, I just want you guys to see like how important this stuff is to me, how big of a deal it is to me, how long I've been working on it, and all this other stuff. And so people are telling me that I should talk about the actual elements and just talk so that you guys can see my passion and so you guys can feel it with me. So that's a little bit about the Style Assassins, a little bit in depth about the Nameless. If you want to know anything more, again, go to the website, The Epic Universe Inc., that's inc.com, or you can go to Style Assassins with an S, it's plural, styleassassins.com. Check us out. Listen, it's going to be a long and beautiful journey. And I'm not trying to pretend like we're going to do everything right the first time around. You guys, these characters and these stories deserve a better writer than myself, and I know that. I'm doing all the writing right now because of the circumstance. I am a creator, not a writer. As soon as I can afford it, I'm gonna get you guys and these stories and these characters the writers they deserve. Just be patient with us. We're gonna make all this happen, man. It's gonna be a long, beautiful journey. I hope you guys come on board with this. Come and experience the excitement that we have in our lives building this and build it along with us. You don't have to make purchases to help us build this. Man, give me some critiques. Look it up and spread the word. Even if you don't wanna buy anything, just spread the word. Man, look at this cool website that I found. Nobody even has to buy anything. I just want people to see it, to read it, and to know it exists. So that's going to do it for us here today at the Epic Universe Inc. Studios. My name is Gabriel. I am your host. I am the creator of some of your most favorite comic book characters that you haven't met yet. And I am going to be your guide as we go through this adventure together. So I'll catch you guys on the next one. Follow for more stories from the Epic Universe Inc. or visit styleassassins.com to learn more.